Geocachomaniacs.
GeoGearHeads.
Welcome to episode number 252 of the GeoGearHeads. I am Chris of the Northwest, along with our host, Daryl W4. You know, we've only been doing this for a few years, Daryl. I would think I could get your name straight, but these things happen with a live podcast.
See, and the longer you go, the more difficult it's going to be.
Oh, there you go.
Just keep that in mind.
Okay, so we'll keep this episode short because the longer we go, the more difficult it's going to be. Now, this time we are going to talk about the virtual caching bag. What does that mean? Is it a cache bag you take with you? Kind of. Those virtual tools that you use, be they on the interwebs through your phone or apps on your phone, or other things that you use while you're out caching.
Yeah, and we've got a huge list to go through today. Not going to hit all of them, obviously, because, well, there's just too many to mention. So we've got some of our favorites and a whole bunch of ones submitted by the audience. So let's jump right into it. And we're going to start with the smartphone apps. And why don't we start with the ones available for both Android and iOS?
Well, we have to start with the GeoCachinger app, or the new geocaching app, or the official geocaching app, whatever you want to say, not the classic one. How's that?
Yeah,
that
not
is
the classic.
For both Android and iOS, no longer for Windows phones. Sorry, people. But the three people that were using it have moved on. In fact, I met two of them not too long ago. Anyway.
Well, and the other one's over in the UK.
Okay, there you go. You know, geocaching.com is putting a lot of effort into the GeoCachinger app. That's how I'm always going to say it. It's the geocaching app with the registered trademark symbol at the end of it. It looks like geocachinger. So if you haven't heard that term before, there you go. You're going to have to get used to it because that's what I'm saying. They put a lot of work into it, and they've made updates, several updates over this last year, with more to come in the future.
Yeah, more to come is kind of putting it lightly. But I'm not a fan of this one. I know that you are. You really like the changes, and I hope that they're going to continue to improve it, and we're going to see stuff looking better and better. But for me, it's really only for the messaging features, and I really wish that they would break this out into its own app, so that there were like the geocaching messenger, which, you know, I hate having all those apps around, but listen, hear me out here. I figure if it's its own app like that, one, I don't have to keep it on my phone. And right now it's broken where if you do get the message and the notification comes through, you hit that notification, it just opens the app. It doesn't take you to the message. So if it's its own app, hopefully they'd get that working right. But by having it as its own app, I figure there's a good probability that other apps could then take advantage of it. And of course, you know, it has to be written for that, where you could take the URL scheme. API,
well, no, so to speak.
They don't want to make a messaging API is what I've been hearing lately because of the concerns about privacy and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Fine. I get where they're coming from on that. So let's make the app a standalone app where from a third-party app, using the internal URL schemes or however they want to handle that, the, you know, share sheets, you can send it. Okay, I want to send a message to this user from Cachly, from CGO, from whatever. It's just a URL. Punch that in, you know, on that other app. It jumps out to the messaging app and goes there. I would really, really like to see that. I don't think there's a chance in heck of that happening. But that's where I'd like to see it go, and I want it for that, you know, the interoperability more than anything else. Jersey Eric, though, on Facebook said while he likes the official geocaching app on Android for messaging, but you can't delete the or archive messages from the app. And the app shows the deleted messages that don't show on the website. So, that's getting into some other issues that they have to fix up. It was, he says this was developed for an internet business by Groundspeak, question mark, because he doesn't think it looks really good. I try to use the official app on Android, but its compass distance to ground zero sucks most of the time, freezes up often, forcing him to use Cache Sense, which doesn't experience any freezing at the same time location on the at the same location on the same phone. He said when he wrote this, the official geocaching app on Android told him ground zero was 12 feet, correct for a cache in the list view. But when he switched to the compass view, it said the same cache was 1.2 miles away. WTF. Moved a few feet in compass mode and even switched back to the list, then the compass view again, but it still went 1.2 miles. What a Carpy app. In the live Q&A, yeah, I'm actually not getting any audio from you, Bad Cop. Don't know if you're muted or what, but in the live Q&A, John says that the Cache Sense turns green on his phone, so that's a big issue. Not something really usable. Yeah, unfortunately, Bad Cap, I'm not getting any audio or any feedback from the Hangouts that you're even sending audio, so you might want to jump out and come back in. Going back to the user submitted stuff, R. Reagan emailed that Glimpse is a good app for safety and location notifier. We've talked about that. Had a full show on it a long time ago. Great app for sharing your location as long as you have the data service. Then he also mentioned a GeoFriends app, and he likes that to see what his buddies are up to. I tried looking that up. We have the link in the show notes to the GeoFriends website. However, the links from the website don't work, so I'm not sure that app is actually even available anymore.
It is available. I bet you can hear me now.
I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now? Because I went and got it. He sent this long list of things, and I looked through that and I go, well, I don't have that, and I don't have this, and I don't have this. So I went and downloaded them, and the GeoFriends does work. It's not what you think it should be, but it does work. So there's that. And it was one of those that are like, that's interesting. So, well, I have to say, I didn't go from the website. I just went to type in GeoFriends into the App Store.
Okay. So I might have to go and look that up again. I think I had tried looking up those links, and it came up without any results. So definitely we'll have to try that again. And that you found it on iOS. Did you look on Android?
No. Why would I?
Okay. Well, because I figured you still have the tablet.
I haven't pulled that tablet out in quite a while. So let's see. Yes, I downloaded GeoFriends and some others that I'm sure we'll talk about here in a few moments.
Well, while we move into the Android stuff, and you can tell us what Tentament said on Tentman on Facebook.
Tent, yeah. Well, he sent us a very nice message. He says, "See Geo on Android. Period. Full stop. The official app is ridiculously poor, except for the messenger." He likes CGO. You may not be able to get this. But mostly because it seems to run faster than the official app. The live map is a cool feature as well.
Yeah, this is kind of a running thread that you'll find with probably most of the Android-based caches, is that CGO is their go-to app. And it is not, as I understand it, an API partner. So that still makes me a little nervous, but it's because it's not the API partner, they also can get away with stuff that the API partners can't.
That's true. But I agree with you. It makes me nervous that.
Yeah. And it's not uncommon.
Cracked down in the past, so they may in the future.
And because they're not official API partners, they've had issues in the past where they'll make a change to some function and CGO breaks for a day or two until they get it fixed. But it's gotten really responsive since it went open source. The quality of the app has gone up. So this is a solid app that I don't want to recommend it because it's not an official partner, and I remember issues with people getting banned because of using CGO. But I haven't heard any issues with that in such a long time that, you know. And Team Aviju in the live chat is saying, considering that Groundspeak doesn't allow new API partners, it's the way to go. So yeah, that's another problem. Is I think there's might be a little bit more leniency because they're not allowing new partners too, but don't know. And I don't know that I'd want to trust, and that's why I can't recommend it. That said, I do think it is a good solution for Android users.
Definitely is a good solution. Limax added via Google Plus. See, Google Plus is still alive and well, Daryl. No matter what you want to say.
Hey! After we made the mention, we did get quite a few comments on Google Plus.
He says, on the Android, I use the Ant Plus plugin sampler for chirps. And I also use GCC, the geocache calculator, for various puzzles and coordinate calculators. I think they're also based on a spherical Earth and not an elliptical one.
Yeah, which that comment is kind of out of context, but he was talking about some of the other apps having some calculation errors because of, he believes, they're basing on a spherical instead of elliptical shape of the Earth, because, well, you know, that makes it a issue when, or, you know, causes some issues when you're trying to calculate. And it wouldn't be an issue if everyone calculated it the same way.
Oh, there you go.
But
or if we all just lived at the poles.
Right. Yeah, there you go. But Randy Grady also said that he recommends Cache Box with a geocaching API, which I played with way back when it first came out and haven't looked back at, so I'll have to take a look at that one again. And he also seconds the GCC, which, again, that's one that people seem to really like on Android, and it's a good resource when you're out in the field trying to solve those puzzles. Just found out that you can store and update Google Maps on your device, and this saves the wireless data. And yeah, in Google Maps on both Android and on iOS, you can actually save map regions to the device. It does expire after a certain period of time, and I don't remember if that's 90 days, but it's a great way to get offline maps for navigation. But it's for navigation. I don't think I'd want to try to use those for navigating to a cache.
No. And it's a great short-term solution for your vacation. Say you're going out of country or, you know, hiking in the mountains, whatever it be. You can cache that data ahead of time and have it for your apps. I want to jump back for just a minute to the Ant Plus plugin sampler. Daryl, you had something for the iPhone. I want to say it was the iPhone 4 that was an Ant Plus device that allowed you to talk to chirps. Did you not?
Sure. Yeah. It worked with anything from the 3G up. It still works with the current iPhones, but you have to have the adapter. There's the Wahoo Fitness Key is an Ant Plus dongle that you have to connect to the 30 pin or now connect to an adapter for the Lightning. But that works. And then there's a GeoBeacon app on iOS that will do the programming and the reading of the chirps. And I've played with it. It definitely is a good usable tool. And in my experimenting with it, comparing it to the Oregon 300, I think it was that I was testing against, it was much easier to use and did a much better job.
There you go. So there are options there as well for iOS as well as Android. Now, I'm going to move on to Johnny Be Good 9. Also gives feedback through Google Plus. I'm just pushing the Google Plus, guys. To begin with, these are Android apps. Many years ago, I tried CGO and didn't like it. Recently tried it again because friends were using it, and this time I love it. For puzzles and such, I use, are you ready for this one? GCC, the geocache calculator. I find it invaluable. He continues to say, for an app that isn't so well known, at least I don't think it is, I use Geocache Placer. Geocache Placer is an app that allows you to take averages. You might, like you might with a Garmin unit. There's a list of features from Google Play. It's got GPS averaging, saves your cache and locations, imports caches from GPX files. It does the 161 or 528 foot circles. I'm sorry, 161 meters, 528 feet. It uses Google Maps version 2, OpenStreetMaps, internal or external GPS. You can export those to a GPX file, yada, yada.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a great tool to have in your caching bag, your virtual caching bag. And if you are taking coordinates, cache placements from your smartphone, that averaging is key. You really want to make sure that you do the averaging, and we'll be talking about that more in a few weeks. But yeah, thank you very much for that app, because that's going to be most helpful to many, many cachers, I'm sure.
Exactly. You know what, though? He's not done. He goes on.
He's not?
No, Johnny Be Good is good. Oh, Johnny Be Good 9. I forgot the 9. There could be 8 more Johnny Be Goods. But this Johnny Be Good says, just for fun, just for the fun of it, my first geocaching app was GeoBeagle. I remember that from the days. I don't even know if you can get it in the Google Play Store anymore. Play Store. You had to use a lot of workarounds to get info to and from geocaching.com.
Yeah, and I did check. It is no longer listed on the Play Store, so I'm 99.999% sure it is dead.
Yeah, it's a shame. Of course it should be. If it's not been updated, it's, there are issues.
Yeah, well, there were a bunch of other apps that came out, including CGO, that kind of drove it away, I think. Jersey Eric emailed that you might recall me asking questions in the past about logging tracks on a GPSR, in my case, a Garmin eTrex 30. Once I create a GPX file of my tracks, for instance, a hike, on my GPSR, I like to import the GPX into a free Android app, GPX Viewer, for a simple view on my smartphone or tablet. It provides good map view of all the tracks as well as statistics and summary.
Nice. Now, if we jump over, I'm sorry, are we done?
We are done with Android.
We're done with Android. So let's jump over to iOS. First and foremost, we have to talk about Cachly.
Cachly is a new hotness, so yeah, let's start with that one.
Does that make geocaching the old brokenness?
No, it's a new brokenness.
Okay.
It's the constantly updated brokenness. How's that?
Ouch. We are not getting anybody from geocaching headquarters on our podcast ever again.
Hey, we're still holding out hope.
Okay.
They extended the life of the classic app for a reason.
That's right. Alan from Facebook says, Cachly all the way. So many more features than the standard geocaching app from Groundspeak. Here's a list of his favorite features: pocket query creation and emailing the results from within the app, importing pocket queries from Dropbox, larger selection of map types, standard text and keywords when you are logging a power trip, automatically puts the text in the log for you, logging of travel bugs, DNF tracking, and saving logs to send at a later time.
Yeah, and on Twitter, Derek said that Cachly is his main geocaching app, and we've been hearing that from a lot of people. I know that you've been using it a lot more often, Chris.
Oh, I like it. Yeah. Except for the messaging feature, I use Cachly.
Yeah. And I've been trying to, we talked about this with some of the other people who have been emailing. And Geosphere had been my go-to and still is for some stuff where I go. I like Cachly. I'm trying to get better acquainted with it and move stuff over. But there's always seems to be this like 1 or 2 features, and I end up just jumping back to Geosphere. And I'm hoping that when version 2 of Cachly comes out soon, it will be there.
Cut the cord, Daryl. Just cut the cord.
I know. Well, and this is what I keep saying. I'm amazed it actually still works under iOS 10.
I really love Geosphere as well, but Cashly has done everything that I've asked it to.
Yeah, it's really a great app, and definitely the one that I like the best now. And I will not recommend Geosphere. And I was mentioning that one of the big things is it's been like 3 or 4 years since an update. The last year, about this time, Mark, the developer, had come back and said, "Yep, I'm going to be coming back and working on it." And until about 2 weeks ago, we hadn't heard anything back from him. He's like, "Okay, yep, I'm back. I'm going to start working on it." So we'll hold out some hope that it's going to be a new app before too long.
Interesting. I didn't know he was actually coming back to work on it.
Well, yeah, we talked about it last year when he announced that he was coming back.
Right. That was last year, and I hadn't seen anything, so I assumed it didn't happen.
Yeah, it was the same way. And now another year later, we get another message saying, "Yes, I've been dedicating, or I've been able to set aside some time to get back to it now." So I'm going to hold out some hope, but in the meantime, I want to have the backup.
Definitely. Well, now, speaking of backup, you use Cachebot.
I do, and the only thing I use it for is the push notifications. And it's not that it's a bad app or anything for actually finding cache. It's just I really love the push notifications. And what you do is set up the email notifications at geocaching.com to go to a special email address at Cachely. All right, sorry, at Cachebot. And then it uses that to push notifications to your phone. So I have it set up for any traditional or multi or whatever I have set up. I can't really recall. Within like a 5-mile radius of home, it pushes those to the phone thanks to the notifications at geocaching.com, which is premium member only. And then the paid version of Cachebot gets you these extra features. And that is awesome for anyone who's interested in FTF.
Well, I mean, you can, what normal people do, Daryl? I'm excluding you from that list of normal people. Sorry. Is your phone has a email address, your 10-digit number at whatever carrier at. Sometimes it's txt.att.net. Anyway, you put that in as your alert, and you'll get a text message when a new geocache releases or is published.
Yeah, we've talked about that on a previous show, including a list. I'm thinking now we should have gone back and found that to include in this one.
Yeah,
but it's a standard format. Each carrier is a little different, and you can just go and follow that and get it. The trouble can be that some carriers won't include enough of the message to get a GC number or anything. But the other thing that's nice with using push notifications through Cachebot is it's a push notification. You just tap it, and it opens up and gives you the cache information and everything right there.
That's true. Okay,
Nels in the chat is saying that those email to text messages seem to be a bit fickle for him. They don't always work. And I have heard that, and a lot of the carriers will actually block some of the messages that they think are spammers. And it's not really a good way to tell them it's not.
I didn't know that. That's news for me.
Yeah, well, and again, I think it depends a lot on your carrier, whether that's going to work well for you or not, and the way that they're handling it. So it's definitely worth checking out. But I remember Sprint, I think it was, in the early days on the old flip phones when I tried it.
Mm-hmm.
One of those messages came through as about a dozen text messages.
I remember when they used to come through as up to 5 text messages.
Yeah, it was pointless.
Yeah, now geocaching.com has shortened them.
Yes.
So it's only one text message. So it's a little better.
Yeah, and you can always go, back to the mail, set up 2 notifications. One goes to your email, one goes to the text message. Open your mail, click on the link, and you can open it and do it there. So it's not as if you can't do it elsewhere. What's this mail you speak of?
I know,
it's kind of...
Oh, postage. It's wait for the mail carrier to come.
Yeah, those snails that carry the mail to your doorstep. Another one that I have on iOS is GC Tools, and this is very much like the GCC on Android. It's just good reference material in the field. And our Reagan emailed that it's a variety of tools for coordinates, data tables, ciphers, and conversions.
I've used it several times. It's good. I used to know my resistor color codes, though I don't know them anymore, but that helps me out. Should you ever find a cache that's like that? I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Another one that I still actually use from time to time is the Geocaching Toolkit IGCT. And it's a great field reference, but it's been about 8 years since it's been updated. And you can really tell because it's only for the shorter iPhone screens, the iPhone 4 and earlier. And it's just really weird to look at on screen, but it still works, and it's still a very useful little tool.
I don't know if I've seen any apps that don't quite fit the screen. Interesting. Limax said via Google Plus, pushing the Google Plus folks, for iOS, the apps I usually go to are Geocaching Toolkit, that's the IGCT, GC Tools, and Chord Calc. If you need a quick ROT13 translator, I use, get this, ROT13.
Another one that I use is a GC Buddy, or a Geocaching Buddy. And it's really a handy tool for multi-caches. I don't use it as much as I used to because I don't have as many of the multi-caches that go this route. But it allows you to set up formulas like 42 AB.CDEFG kind of thing. And then you can plug those in. You can do calculations. So if you've got any of those funky math type ones, it's awesome because you can even sit down at home and start pre-populating those caches that you want to go out and figure out when you get out there. You just start dropping in the numbers, and it makes it really quick and easy. So this is kind of one of those things I've done on the cold, rainy days when you're looking for something to do inside that's caching related. Pull out a geocaching buddy app, start getting those caches in and formulas built out. And it's a great tool when you actually get out into the field. And even for doing some of the puzzle caches where they're doing that kind of math, but you have the data available on the cache page or from Google searching. That's a great tool to get some of that stuff put together, and then it saves it and you can actually navigate to the cache.
Nice. Limax says, I looked at GC Buddy. It seemed expensive.
I've had it for so long, and at the time that I got it, it was well worth the cash. It's now an $8 app. I don't think I paid that much for it when I bought it. Gotcha. But it was well worth, I think, the $5 at the time. And, again, this is another one of those older apps that I've had, it seems like forever on my phone.
I just have to snicker because, 99 cents. If it's more than 99 cents, it's an expensive app.
Yeah, these days that's definitely true. A lot of people complain about Cashly, which is what, $6, $5.99.
Yeah, exactly. I did for a long time until I finally bought it and I go, well, this is worth it. So, yeah, I'm cheap. The next one, R. Reagan says via email, Where I Go. It runs Where I Go cartridges.
Yeah, and I definitely like using this better than the in-app Oregon or Colorado unit or players. But
yeah, definitely.
Like most Where I Go things, it's not
smooth.
Yeah, it does have some issues.
Yeah, Where I Go has some issues. Doesn't matter what app or device you're using to play it.
Exactly. Now, another good comment here, RichRag88 says the old apps that are still 32-bit are going to be hit by Apple soon. And that's true. Kind of why I was saying I don't like Geosphere. Some of these old apps like IGCT are going to get booted pretty quickly because they are not 64.
Team Mavaju says, if once 99 cents is expensive, wait till they start charging you 99 cents per month.
Yeah, and that's something that we're seeing more and more often, not in geocaching, but I'm sure it's going to hit.
Subscription model, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Rich Rag is our Reagan. Thanks for joining in and handing that or letting us know. But in general, we're seeing more of the services go to a subscription model. Yeah, I was looking at some of the picks for apps that support iMessages, the stickers, and Jib Jab is one of them. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I remember them from 20 years ago.
Yep.
Took a look. Theirs is $2.99 a month subscription if you want to actually save videos and do that kind of stuff.
Oh, not just for stickers?
Not just for stickers.
Oh, good. I was like, for stickers? Are you kidding?
No, the stickers are free, but you can't do some of the stuff, I think. You have full access to the stickers, you have limited access to the videos, that kind of thing. But if you want the full access, it's going to cost you $3 a month.
Wow. Well, $36 a year. Is it worth it to you? It depends.
Yeah, exactly.
Some things definitely. Other things, not so much.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a new app out that I've just started using. The developer emailed me and emailed you as well and said, hey, do you want to try this? And it's called TB Scan, as in travel bug scan.
Yeah, and we talked about it on the randomized show, the Xlix show.
Yes.
And you actually have the premium version, though, and I don't have that. So what's your take with the premium?
I haven't. Well, maybe I have. I don't know if I've used much of the premium features. I jumped right into the premium and never looked back. It's the premium. You're supposed to be able to take pictures and get the optical character recognition off of those, as well as anything you get through your camera. So,
well, and it also allows you to save the photos to the roll, to your camera roll. So that's handy, especially for the ones that don't want to scan. And I had a few of those where it just can't read it. So I really think that if I had the premium, I'd find it much more useful. But as the free user, it's handy, but it's more work than it's really worth.
Yeah. It won't work, or I haven't gotten it to work with any of the trackables whose number is printed on the edge of the coin. If it's printed on the flat back of the coin, it works every time. I showed it to some people I think it was 2 weeks ago, and they're like, what? Well, wait, you can do this? Yeah. So it will scan the coin, grab the text off of it, take you right to the geocaching page, and allow you to discover it. If you want to log it.
You can do multiples at the same time.
And you can do multiples, yes.
Yeah. But you're limited, if I remember, to 5 in the free version.
Okay.
So there's, another reason if you're going to do a lot of it. An interesting thing Team Aviju said in the chat is that they're only on TB Scan allowed to do the trackable side of the API. They don't have anything else, which is interesting.
It is because R. Reagan said, I didn't know you could just get part of the live API, a piece of it.
Yeah. And then R. Reagan uses this a lot as well at events and at travel bug hotels.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's quite an easy thing to do. Just, you're going to take a picture of the coin anyway, or at least I do. I'm not going to spend the time to write it down, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing I really want it for is running around the parking lot, getting all the vehicles at the events.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I've played with it a bunch at events, passing around the coins. That I've had more trouble with than you feel like you should, because it's so hard to get good lighting, especially at like a restaurant or something like that.
Especially with the super shiny coin.
Yeah. Get that contrast going, because it needs good contrast to be able to detect the edges.
But at the same time, it's hard to get a picture of a super shiny coin.
Well, exactly. It's not something that's isolated. So I usually try to do like a text file and then bring it back and run it through Project GC. I like the idea of doing it in the field better, because I don't forget it, and if it does kick it back as bad, I can tell right away. But I think if I had the premium version, I'd be a lot more interested in using it. As it stands right now, I'm definitely going to give it a shot, especially because he's got new features that I haven't played with in the latest version. But I'm not finding it as useful as I think it should be.
Interesting. I think it's a great option.
Team Avaju says, what's the privacy policy on TB Scan? Is it anywhere written down? I think I saw a privacy policy, but I don't really know. I haven't looked.
Interesting.
Meanwhile, another app that many people are going to like is the Path Tag app on iOS. It's really more for the Path Tag collectors, and unfortunately it's iOS only, but it's an interesting little tool that lets you mark which path tags you've collected.
I don't know if I knew this tool existed.
I didn't know it existed until I started poking around, and I was looking mostly for a path tag tool just so that you could do the logging in the field.
Okay. Reagan also says he uses the Google image search. That's the pro version, integrated with Geosphere to show OSM trails, OpenStreetMap trails and contours. You can create a track if you want to.
Yeah,
interesting.
Kind of cool. I'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah, I'm going to play with that because that would be very interesting. One I use is called Commander Compass. One day I was doing a offset geocache, and it needed a better compass than what came with the phone. And I found Commander Compass. It's an aviation style compass. And I liked it. And I still use it today.
Very cool. R. Reagan also emailed that GPS Map Data is an iOS app that has the raw data plus altitude info. So that's another good tool if you want to get into some of that raw GPS stuff that normally is not exposed.
Yeah.
Moving on to web pages, though, R. Reagan emailed that Project GC has the stats, event checkers, or events, challenge checkers, and much more. We've talked about that many times. Loved to even mention it earlier in this show.
Exactly. I love Project GC. I mean, it's become so ubiquitous. I didn't even think of it at first.
Yeah, it's almost one of those tools that you don't think about because you're just always there.
Right. Another one sent in by Limax on Google Plus is there are so many websites that I use quite a bit these days. The first one is Geocaching Toolbox, which has a lot of different puzzle solving tools. For the more difficult geodesic based puzzles, I found that, well, I don't know, is it Javawa or Javawa? Javawa. It sounds Canadian with all those A's on there. Works well. I've also used GPS Visualizer some, although its interface can be a bit cranky at times. That's gpsvisualizer.com. I'll make another post with my app picks for both iOS and Android.
Which, of course, he did, and we mentioned earlier. R. Reagan emailed that Geocaching Toolbox is the Swiss Army knife for mystery caches, and we'll include a link to that. But that's one that I don't think I've ever really checked out.
I think I've used it back in the day. I don't know if I've used it recently. R. Reagan, thank you so much. I mean, you put such a good list together that really I went down that list and said, okay, I need to download this app. Google image search. Really, you're searching Google images against, local images. So, if you've got, hey, where is this? Or, what is this a part of? Google image search is actually incredible for what it can do.
And then he also mentioned what 3 words for puzzle solving. We've talked about that in the past.
Yep. And I went and downloaded that app. Yeah,
it's a good one for figuring out the puzzles that are based on what 3 words, because how else are you going to figure it out?
I don't know. How else can you figure it out?
I don't know either. So it is a website as well. So, you can get to it from anywhere. You don't necessarily need the app on the device.
Yeah, that still amazes me. 3 words can get you an exact location anywhere in the globe. R. Reagan also put Geo Roadbook. My list never stops growing and changing. I found Geo Roadbook today. Ideal for executing a road trip as long as you get a hard copy to mark up. You can go along for later logging. So,
and that's all of them that we're going to actually talk about this time. We did get a bunch more. Thank you, everyone, for submitting these. You know what? Before we do anything else, I should mention that Geo Roadbook, I think, was just mentioned as a pick on Podcasher by someone else. So,
interesting. I hadn't heard of it, so I'm going to have to go look.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to play with it myself, but it is a interesting app, a web app. So, you're seeing more and more of the stuff moving to the web, which I like because it means you don't have to worry about it. Doug Jones says, or Limax says, no Where I Go app. And we did actually mention the Where I Go app.
Yes, we did. It's called Where I Go.
Yeah, you just missed it. We didn't talk about the one for Android. And we did actually get someone who mentioned the Where You Go app as their pick for that. We will probably do a virtual cash bag 2 show. R. Reagan, he just asked that question. But probably not for a little while. These apps are changing all the time. Exactly. That's why we want to keep doing these. And we just haven't had a show that talked about these kind of apps. So this is only the first one, but we do promise a second one sometime in the future.
And our Reagan, if you'll send us another huge list when we get ready for that show, it's a big help. I think I downloaded half of what you had on there, if I didn't have it already. So thank you.
And there's a lot of the apps that we probably should be talking about that aren't necessarily caching apps, just some really good tools that are useful to cachers. Tool dump. Yeah, R. Reagan called it a tool dump. I like that. Well, thank you again, everyone, for your submissions. We love hearing from you. And you know what? Help spread the word of the GeoGearHeads and all of the great information that we're sharing. This is a great show to share with some of your friends as a reference for, here are some cool apps. Go and check these out and see if any of these help you and make your caching life easier.
That's right. Put those in your virtual caching bag. Now, next week, episode 253 of the GeoGearHeads, we're going to be randomizely. That didn't come out right. It's randomizely. After that, on November 10th, Getting Good Chords number 2. November 17th is Ciphers number 2 with Jennifer of Team AJK. November 24th is, it's Thanksgiving here in the United States. So it's going to be a Canadian takeover with the bear and land monkey probably saying sorry throughout the whole episode. But they're going to take the show over.
Check the Cachemaniacs website at cachemaniacs.com for more on the GeoGearHeads, including show notes for this and all of our episodes. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us feedback by emailing GeoGearHeads at cachemaniacs.com or through social media. Your support helps keep the Cachemaniacs shows coming. Please consider becoming a patron through the link on our website to support the Cachemaniacs shows. GeoGearHeads is produced by Chris Hoffenauer and Daryl Wanberg. This show is copyright 2016 by Daryl Wanberg. All rights reserved.
Cash with the Cachemaniacs.